so I am doing my playoff predictions for the teams that I think will make the AFC playoffs. I am going to do a separate video for the NFC playoffs. But before we get into these three honorable mentions here that you see on your screen, I do not have the Browns on this list at all. And the reason is within the last couple of days, there have been 2 more allegations to come out against Deshaun Watson. So I don't know if he's going to be playing a lot this year. He might not even play at all this year, depending on how hard his punishment is. Baker could take him, but I feel like Baker's kind of still on strike. He's still kind of boycotting them. I think he still wants out. And I think Jacoby Brissett is the other backup, I want to say, I think. Right now, I don't remember. And that guy, whoever the third one is not going to be able to take him to the playoffs. So, again, I don't want to touch the Browns because if it is true and, he has to sit out a whole another year and whatnot, then, the Browns are going to struggle to win. Even if Baker is, given $1 bajillion to say, hey, come play one more season and then we'll trade you afterwards. I don't know. He might tank. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, who knows what Baker would do. But anyway, get into the honorable mentions here. I have the Patriots, the Raiders, and the Dolphins. I guess we'll start left to right. Patriots, anything is possible with them. You just never know. I mean, they made the playoffs last year. And, with the rookie QB and whatnot, yes, they got blown up and just torn apart limb for limb. I mean, there was just pieces just scattered all over the Bills stadium. It was not good. But you just never count out Bill Belichick. Can they make the playoffs again? Yes. And that is what the point of this video is making the playoffs. We're not talking running to the Super Bowl. We're talking about making the playoffs. I think they can. It is a lot tougher, in my opinion, than it was last year. I think it's pretty easy to say. But they could make it. Next is the Raiders. Hardest division in football. I don't know. It was between them and the Broncos. We'll talk about the Broncos here in a second. I don't know how to feel about the Raiders. I don't. They got better, yes. But you're in the most stacked division ever. I think you lose twice to the Chargers. I think you probably split with the Broncos. And I think you can still lose twice to the Chiefs. I think you can. So there's potential where you only win one game within your division. And every single game within your division is going to count towards win-loss record, and that's going to be essential trying to get into the playoffs because if you tie with someone else, so then obviously they're going to look at other stats, but that's going to be one of the stats they look at is divisional record. So I don't know how to feel about them. I don't know how to feel about the Broncos either, but I don't know. The Raiders feel more like a bigger mystery to me, even though the Broncos have a new head. What is it? New head coach? I think it's a new head coach. Russell Wilson, new QB and whatnot, and just new players. So I don't know. We'll see how these two teams end up. Then last, Miami Dolphins. It really depends on Tua because you have a pretty good wide receiver core. I think their defense is underrated. I think a lot of people are going to overlook this defense of the Miami defense. So you're in, the Bills division, and again, possibly, the Patriots can make it to the playoffs again too. So you don't have the easiest schedule either. Yes, you have the Jets twice a year, but there's no guarantee that you can beat the Jets either. So it's an easier schedule than the AFC West because you don't have to face like super hard opponents. But I think there's potential where they could maybe sneak in as the 7th seed. So it's if Tua plays well and you have a deep threat in Tyreek Hill, and obviously you have a lot of good receivers too outside of Tyreek Hill. So it's just dependent on really that offense to me, if they can get into the playoffs or not. Next, Broncos here at 7. Now again, if you want to switch the Raiders and Broncos spots at honorable mentions in 7, go ahead. You can do that. I put them here because Russell Wilson obviously has playoff experience. He has Super Bowl experience. I think that's going to tie into helping them or helping other players on the team say, hey, this is what we have to do to get to the playoffs. It's not going to be smooth sailing, especially the first probably month or two. Even though, again, he has a whole offseason to, learn the playbook, get to know the players and whatnot. But, you go to a new place. Even Tom Brady struggled for, 7 weeks or 8 weeks? Yes, they went on to win the Super Bowl, but he still struggled early on too. And, he's the GOAT. So, for Russell Wilson, he might struggle a bit too. And it's, can he turn on the Jets and actually start looking like an MVP caliber in the second half of the season? That's what we want to see from Russ. Again, you have the toughest division in the NFL, so anything is possible. I think you maybe could split with the Chiefs. I think you get swept by the Chargers. Chargers are just on another level. They are. They're right now, the stacked roster they have is just on another level. There's only one other team that can compete with them. We'll talk about them later on. But I think you can maybe split with the Raiders too. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting. It really is. Next is the Chiefs at 6. Now, some people want to believe that they're the worst team in the AFC West. No more Tyreek Hill, blah, 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 blah. That's just not true. They still have Kelsey. They still have Mahomes. They still have, their offense is still pretty good. You still have Andy Reid as your head coach. Their offense is still pretty good. The defense is what worries me. But we've seen for the past couple years, the Chiefs can get to the Super Bowl with a trash defense. They can do that. Now, again, you have a lot of superstars, and now you lost some superstars. And okay, I don't hate MVS, but I trash talk him a lot. I don't think he's as good as what other people think. He is technically a deep threat, but you can't replace Tyreek Hill. It's hard to. You have Juju now, but it's just 2 big steps down from Tyreek Hill, who always had, the defense playing cover 2 just to make sure, hey, that guy's not going to burn us. No one's afraid of MVS. I'm sorry. No one is. I don't care if you're a Packers fan and you love MVS. He's not as good as you think he is. He's not, okay? But he's a deep threat, technically. So, I don't know. If he can start catching and lose his butterfingers, I think he could be an okay replacement. And he's not going to be Tyreek Hill, but I think he could be an okay deep threat replacement. And then obviously, Juju is Juju. So I think Juju, if healthy, Juju is okay. I think he, we'll just see what happens. That's all I'll say right now. At 5 here, we have the Baltimore Ravens. It's not the toughest division, but these guys just beat the crap out of each other no matter what. Like, if they're good, they're bad, they just beat the crap out of each other. That's how the AFC North is. That's how it's been since, years. I remember being a kid just watching, Ray Lewis and whatnot, and obviously that was top-tier defense, but even still, when they, lost them, even the North was still just a bloodbath. So no matter who is there, it's just always a bloodbath. It's always going to be tough. Obviously, I think there is a team better than the Ravens, which is why I have them at 5. But you still have Lamar Jackson. I forget. They went out and got someone. I can't remember. They got someone good. Their defense is honestly underrated. I think it's a pretty decently good defense that no one's going to really talk about. So, look at what they did last year with Huntley. I think it was Huntley. Is that the name? I don't remember. Whoever that backup was just he looked like Lamar Jackson had just switched to, I think it was 2 is what he wore. That's what this guy looked like last year. So if you had healthy Lamar last year, they probably make the playoffs. So I just think this team will be good. But again, you have another team, and potentially if the Browns are good, 2 teams that you're going to be slugging it out. Oh my God. Slugging it out with. I don't know what just happened there with that stutter. And slurring my words. I don't know what's going on. But, it's just, we'll see what happens. But I think they are a good team, but it's just going to be hard to win a division, in my opinion. 4, Tennessee. Not a lot to talk about. Their only competition is actually the Colts. So, the maybe the Colts can win the division, but I don't see anyone else from the South making it this year. You give Doug Peterson and the Jags maybe 3 years, and I think potentially they can make the playoffs. Texans, I mean, okay, Texans, I like Lovie Smith, but he's got a lot of work to do down there. So maybe the Texans 5 years. I think Davis Mills is a really underrated QB. I've talked about this before. I think he was really underrated. You kept Brandon Cooks, which, they had that kind of connection. I guess it was only a year, but there was kind of a connection that you can build off now. But as of right now, heading into next season, the Jags and Texans aren't winning the division. They're not going to come close to it. So really, it's going to come down to the Titans and the Colts. And I don't know. Yes, Colts got better, but their defense was really good last year, and I think they got swept by the Titans last year. So, Derrick Henry is just a force in nature. It's like that's why this team is so good. Yes, you lost A.J. Brown, but I mean, you just went and got a young wide receiver. Maybe that'll help. Who knows? Number 3, here's the other AFC North team that I think makes the playoffs. The Bengals. I'm sick and tired of hearing, Bengals are going to get last in their division again. It was a fluke. They're not making the Super Bowl again. They're a very good team, and they're a very young team. Go back and watch what they did all season long last year in the regular season. Look at how good. Yes, okay. You want to talk about the drops? Whatever. Jamar Chase fixed that. By the season, I guess you could say mid-season at the latest, he fixed that. But, I mean, they're a young core, and they're good. They're very good. And, okay, if the Browns are sucky, then you only really have to compete with the Ravens to win the division, which means you at least make the playoffs. When you get to the playoffs, anything is possible. So, I mean, you have the Steelers twice a year. I mean, you could lose to them once, possibly, but I think the toughest part of their division is the Ravens, and that's really it. That's all they have to really go through to be able to get a top 4 seed. They don't need the 1 seed to make the Super Bowl. They weren't the 1 seed last year. I think they were the 4th. Maybe they were the 3rd. Maybe I have them in the same spot at the 3rd. I can't remember. They were not the 1 seed because the Titans were the 1 seed. So you don't need to be a top tier 1 seed to make the playoffs. And I think they can do that. Do they win the Super Bowl? I don't know. The AFC is a lot more stacked this year than it was last year. It's going to be tougher. Yes, Chiefs don't have Tyreek Hill, so maybe it's a little bit easier if you have to face the Chiefs deep in the playoffs. But I think they can make the Super Bowl. I think a lot of people are overreacting and just hating on the Bengals. I do. And I like the Bengals. I like Joe Burrow. I like Jamar Chase. That connection is top tier. I'm going to get off my soapbox here. We're going to move on. But I'm just tired of the disrespect for the Bengals. The Bengals are a good team. And if you don't think that, then you just don't watch any of their games at all. It's just plain and simple. Number 2, the Chargers. Again, this is where we go from this to way up here. These last 2 teams, and obviously if you know who number 1 is, it should be obvious. At least, because I've talked about them being very good this year. But these last 2 teams here are just so far and ahead, better than everyone else in my opinion. They got to be the favorites to go to the Super Bowl from the AFC. Chargers, again, I think they could go 8-0 in their division. The hardest division in the league. I think they can sweep it. I think there's possibility where they may go 15 and 2? Yeah, 15 and 2. 15 and 3, whatever. We have 18 weeks, so yeah, 15 and 2. I think they could go something like that, 14 and 3. I think they really could. They could get a lot of wins this year. They're stacked on offense. You have a young QB, which has proven himself to be a top tier QB. I think if he has another really good season, I think it's time to start putting him in the top 10 QBs. Current QBs. I think it's time to start putting him up there as top 10, possibly top 5, depending on how good he plays this coming season. Defense. out of this world. They just went out and said, okay, come here, just everyone come here, we'll pay you whatever you want. We're going to make this defense like the best in the league. I think they have the potential to be the #1 defense when the regular season is all said and done. It's just going to be a nightmare for this, for opposing opponents. And I don't know what else to say because they're just too good. They're very good. They really are. But there is a team that can compete with them. The Buffalo Bills, in my opinion, should be the favorites from the AFC to make it all the way. I think they had a good draft. I think they had a good offseason overall. You still have Josh Allen. Josh Allen versus Herbert would be an amazing AFC championship game. It would be stupendous. You got Diggs out there. You have one of the best defenses in the league. You're going to get, was it Tre'Davious White was the one that got injured last year? Whoever was their injured corner, you're going to get him back this year. The Bills are locked and loaded. They're ready to make a Super Bowl run. And again, you can complain about the OT rules all you want. It's how they were last year. Obviously, if they went out and got changed a little bit. Really only the postseason OT rules got changed. But if it comes down to that, who knows what can happen. But I think they're better than everyone else. I think they can compete with the Chargers. With that Chargers defense, I think they can compete with them. Josh Allen is too good. Now, if you want to say one weakness, it's running back. Was it second round or third round they got a running back? I can't remember. But I believe they got a running back kind of deep into the draft. So, it's going to be a younger running back. But they're not known to really run the ball a lot. So if they can get better at something, I think it's running back getting them holes. So, getting a good O-line. But I think their O-line is pretty good. So I think it's their time to make the Super Bowl. But can you win one? I'm not going to go there because I love the Bills. I think the Bills are a real fun team to watch. I've always liked the Bills, growing up. So I don't want to trash on them too much. But, again, these two teams, Chargers, Bills, way up here, way above the screen where you can't see. Everyone else, all the other top-tier teams are just right here. So that's my list. If other people have difference, obviously the AFC is so stacked that you could say maybe this team could do better than that team. I get it. There's just so many top-tier teams, but it feels like the Bills and the Chargers just excel past everyone and are just way better than everyone else. Now, that's on paper. We could get to the regular season, and they could start out 0-4. And then they're fighting for, to win the division, otherwise to get into, 5th, 6th, or 7th seed. So that could happen, too. We're sitting here in June. Anything is possible. They could come out and look flat early on, and then they're just really struggling in the playoffs. So I don't know, but for now, like the video, share the video around, subscribe, and I'm out of here. Peace.